Hey guys, so today we're going to see how we can scrape listings out of Airbnb. All right, so I'm already on the Airbnb homepage. Let's go. Where do we want to go? Let's go somewhere exotic, maybe South Africa or something. All right, Cape Town. Okay, I'm going to set some date for it. And, let's say so many days. I'll say, I don't know, 2 adults or something. Then we go. And that's the oops, we don't need that. We actually need the stays, so I'm going to click on stays. Yep, let's see if we can pull this out, shall we? Let's take this URL. So as we said, we're going to use Beautiful Soup. I've loaded that here. All right, and from Beautiful Soup 4 module, import Beautiful Soup. Request module will get us the data, and Beautiful Soup is the one that helps us select that data, right, using CSS selectors. We're going to see how we'll do that. We'll use a user agent to trick Airbnb into thinking that we are a browser. Okay, and let's use that URL instead of this old URL. There you go. Let's see what happens. So we call that URL, we use the request.get command, pass the URL and the headers. It'll come into the response object. Now response.content has HTML. We want to convert that into an XML document using Beautiful Soup so that we can query it meaningfully. All right, so we can use soup.select command over here to get data. So we're going to see how we do that. But before that, let's see if we can figure out what's going on here. All right. So let's see, we can go here, right click, inspect, and see what is the way we're going to scrape this. Ideally, like I always say, I like to break the HTML into mini pieces I can manage. This whole piece contains all the data, that's a unit of data. I'm going to try and break all of the HTML into mini pieces which contain this. Okay. So I'm not going to jump into getting the title and all those details. I'm just going to jump into breaking this into multiple HTML pieces. Okay. So let's see if we can do that. Let's just scroll down a little bit more and right click here and go inspecting again a little bit. And yeah, this is interesting to me already. Okay, there you go. So division that seems to be, is that everything? No, that's one item as far as I'm concerned. And then, oh, there is it. This is the actual item. So if I say, okay, you see the items here? As I move, everything moves down. Okay, so these are all the listings. So division class, what I'm not happy with is the naming of that class. Okay, so I want a little bit better naming than that because that could change. So I'll go to the closest wrapper which has a decent name. Item prop equals decent name as in something recognizable in one of the property elements, properties of the attributes. So the item prop property has item list element. Now this is good enough for us. Typically I look for a class name, but that doesn't matter. We can still pull this out. So I'm just going to copy that and use the select here to, so to, if you're not using class name, so the way to query it is to actually um, put the property name. So item prop is a property name. So we're going to just put item prop here. Item. I don't want to do a mistake in the spelling. I typically try and copy it. And then we know the attribute here. The attribute here is item list element. Let's copy that. There's lots of weird capitalization. There you go. And so what you're saying here is, hey, soup, select anything which has a property of item prop and its value being item list element, will you? And now, knowing soup, it will give us an array of this. Okay, so if it's going to give us an array, we got to run through that. So I'm going to just go for each on that. Okay, for item in, so individual items will be stored in item, and then I can just print the item. Oops. Okay, print, boom. And this is a separator I always use. Save it. Let's call it scrape B and B or something. Okay, .py. Okay, and let's run it. Let's see what happens. Not the result we want, but it will at least show that the whole thing is working. It's fetching something. Scrape BNB.py. No such. Okay, I've done a mistake somewhere. Scrap BNB, not scrape. Okay, sorry about that, but I'm going to keep it for now. Doesn't matter. So I'm just going to scrap it. There you go. So if you see, it's already the divider you can see here. And a lot of gibberish, but then it is getting as item list element. Right? That means this is the data we want, which always relaxes me, because what's happened is this whole amazingly large and weird HTML with all sorts of things like maps and everything is broken down into just this one thing, just little that one thing, right? So I think it's unbelievable that you just very simply break the HTML into multiple pieces, which contain a headline each, which contain the price of each one, and all the other details. All right. So I think that's incredible. That's so simple if you do it like this, right? So then I'm going to now get into actually getting some data. Okay. So let's see what we can pull out of this. Let's see if we can pull out name. Let's see if we can pull out name. Oh, that's very interesting to me. Trendy, Cape Town, whatever, position, URL. Well, yeah. Yeah, so there are many ways to pull the name out. I can just go for the first sort of, let's just position it on the correct one here, shall we? Inspect. Yeah, there you go. So inside of this, there is an A element, right? The ahref. That gives us, I want the URL as well. So that gives me the href element as well as contains the name of it, right? So I could look at the name of it. There you go, the name of it, even though it is not giving me the name here, the name is contained as a label here. Okay, so we can just go for the label, and then in the same thing in the anchor we can just get the href as well. So let's try and do that. Okay, so the way we'll do that is, first of all, I'll try and put everything in a try except block, because many of these may not be applicable for others, so I don't want it to break. It's always a good idea to do this, everything inside of this. So here I'm going to do the except, cache the exception, exception as, I think it's just as E or something, and then do nothing with it. Okay, continue. That means don't throw the exception again. Don't continue. Just ignore that and continue. Okay, that's how you should do everything in life. And so here I'm going to call item and dot select. Okay, now instead of selecting the entire document, I'm just selecting that piece of HTML, and I'm going to address it by the anchor element. I want the anchor element, so I'm trying to pull the anchor element out like that, and now that will give me an array. All right, so that will give me an array. So I know that I need the first element. If there's one more anchor, that's fine, but we always know the first element contains what we want, and out of that we need the label. So here I go label, but I think the name is something weird, so we'll go copy that. So it's Araya whatever label. Yeah, right, so I just pick that up, put that here. So get me the array label property of the first item in the array when you're selecting all the anchors inside of every division which has an item property of item list element, right? A very nice way of saying this to beautiful soup. Okay, and it'll give you back, assuming it gives that to you. Let's just see if we can print this and see what happens. Boom. And here we go. That's the first piece of data. There you go. Beautiful, isn't it? We got all the names, and that's it. All right, so let's see if we can get more stuff now. Might as well get the href of this while we are at it. So I'm just going to copy paste this a instead of array label. So we need the href, the link to the actual page when clicked on. So I think that should give both now. Check, check, check. Yep, there you go. All the links to each of those items. What should we get? Let's get the price, right? That's what we are worried about all the time. The price. In the suspense. Now this is going to be something of a challenge, because how are we going to get the price? All right, all right, all right. Yeah, the span should give us something. The span has something as price. Okay, we can go for this. Should we just go for this? You see how this is a little tricky now. Okay, these names I'm not a big fan of. Here we go, span here. There must be a span here. And I can see real time how I'm going to make these decisions here. Polite version class. Okay, it's a judgment call, guys. What I'll do is I can go okay, let's go one by one. Okay, let's see if we can figure this one out. Array live equals this, and then inside of that, can we get the span whatever? All right, let's see if we can get the polite thing I like. Okay, so let's see if we can get all that data. Okay, so let's go here on an adventure, and what I'll do is I'll try and get we'll have to address it like this, not this way. Okay, what I'll do is array alive is the property we're looking for. So I'm typing it in. So in this case, the select itself becomes that. So array live, okay, is property equals, what was it? Polite. Okay, that makes sense. And then giving everything in it. Let's see what happens. Just for the fun of it, I'm just going to ask for everything in it. Get text of everything in it, and let's see if it obeys. Yeah, it does. See, there you go. You got the reviews and you got the ratings. Now I think it's easy. Now we can just address it as a sub item inside of it. So let's see if we can do that. All right, so let's go here. So if this is polite, can we get the span? Span. Right, guys. Many ways to do this. Tier apartment. So we don't need that. We need the span under which there's another span under which there is a span, but we don't need that. Let's see if we can get to this level, and then we'll think about that later. Okay. So it's going to be challenging. Span. Okay. Let's see what happens when I go span. There you go, span. So select that and then go span and span under it. Let's see what happens. Give me the text inside of that. Bingo, we still have we retain the text. So very close. That means we're not going wrong. Now, where are we? We will be somewhere here. Span under which there's a span, and then we're going to get everything under that. Uh, how about we get everything under that as an array? Okay, let's break that into an array. Okay, so span and which another span, let's do. Okay, and then get all those items into an array and see what happens. Span. Okay, I think I confused myself here. So polite, span, and all the other spans inside of it. That means anything which resembles the spans inside of it. Let's just print this once. We should be able to yes. So we are inside it. So the first one is selected here, I think. Span. I'm going to pass this to something. I'm just going to hold this for a second. So what I'll do is I'll call it sp equals and not the text and none of that. We'll just pass everything we got into that and then see if we can print sp. See what happens then. Here we go. So we got the spans. Okay. So here we're going to run through with another dot select, and we're going to say get us the span, anything span in it. Okay, this should be an array. This should be an array. Yep. So let's see if we can get the first item of that. sp.select. Sorry, that is a mistake I've done here, which is that, and then remove that and see what happens now. I'm going to go now 0 on this and 1. I think it's already giving me spans here. If that is the case, then what if I just do for each for s in sp? Sorry about the naming conventions there. Print of s. Yeah, I think I'm getting the hang of this now. See, each of those spans are there. So what I'll do is s of s dot get underscore text is what I can do. Just get me the text of each. Here we go. Isn't that amazing? So what I can just do is ignore 0, 1, anything which has a rating is all I want. And so which could be, if I work backwards, I could just get the last 64 reviews, 66 reviews or whatever, and ignore the rest. All right, so I could just go here we go. If I can just go here's how I can go. Okay, so I can now ignore this. I don't need this. And I'll simply say sp of um, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. 3 and 4 is all I need. 3, and so the print SP of 3, that means the third span will always contain print SP of 4 will contain the, okay, let's just print this and see what happens. It will give us some sort of order here. There we go. And so we're getting the reviews and the ratings. So I'm just going to go dot get text because I want to get rid of all the HTML. Dot get text. Get rid of the HTML. That was really something, wasn't it? Here we go. Isn't that beautiful? You can literally see there is a couple of places where it actually sort of skips rating 4.46 out of 5, and sometimes it skips. I think what we can do is we can pick that up using some sort of the word matches, right? So in Python, you just say Python string in string. What is the function for it? Right, contains, right? So right, dot find. Okay. All right, so let's just do dot find in this string dot find. Football in. So I'm just going to do the find method. So what I'll do is I'll go back here and then print this out. Instead of doing like this, what I'll do is I will say s.text is if um, okay, so this is C content cont equals okay cont dot find is what we need, cont dot find, not messy, in this case rating, and then if cont dot find is greater than 0, that means the position I think is greater than 0, then you print print this thing, otherwise don't print. Okay, otherwise don't print. So let's see if it can pull out rating. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, rating is capitalized. Rating is capitalized. So here you can see the rating R is capital. So we're gonna go R. I think the first position is greater than -1. I think then you can print it. Hmm. S.get text, not just the. There we go. Okay. So we can pull that out, ignore it however we want. If both present, then obviously there's something wrong. And then if it is review, then print that again. Okay, only those two needs to be printed. Then you can send it into a variable. There you go. So uh, we got both, right? If there are both, then ignore it. You can write that logic as well. But you see where I'm going with this. Okay. So what I'll do now is see if we can get the price in the same way and see how we can, let's see, inspect that. Okay. Hmm. I don't think there is a way out for now. We're just gonna get this just like so. Okay, guys. Um, so we're going to go with that, and I'm just going to go with just something like this. Copy it, paste it. Let's get the pricing. There you go. And dot. There you go. And dot get text. Bingo. And there you go. Even that didn't work. All right then. Item.select. I'm just going to pull this up here and put it here so that this can then be totally at the bottom. 0.gettext print. Okay, I think there are multiple versions of that. Oh, it's printing the price. We don't need that, do we? Do we need this one? We need this span because this contains all of this. So I'm just going to go with that. Sorry about that. It's not been smooth sailing this video. Here we go. We got the pricing. Previous price, discounted price. How cool is that? Sometimes just normal one price. There you go. That's it. That's how you scrape Airbnb using Beautiful Soup. Okay, that was a tough one, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for listening. And if you want to scale this, of course, please use rotate the user agent string. There is another video where I show you how to do that. Let's keep it out of the scope of this long video. And also make sure you use a rotating proxy because your IP address will get blocked eventually. I have a rotating proxy server, which is proxiesapi.com, in which you can just pass Airbnb to my endpoint. I'll manage user agent strings and everything. The service automatically manages to my API endpoint. If you say you can get your API key by just signing up using your email, you don't need your credit card. 1,000 API calls free, and we automatically change, route everything through 2 million proxies, and change browser analytics. We automatically retry till you get the data. Capture solving automatically behind the scenes, and even JavaScript rendering for hard to render pages like with Ajax and stuff like that. So even otherwise, I hope you enjoyed it. That's the way to scale it, though. I have to tell you that. And thank you very much.